All right. Hello, everybody.
Podcast number 97.
97.
Yes.
Yep. How are y'all doing today? Tell us what you think about the lighting. We're trying to figure out some things at the moment, and the lighting has been a little finicky in the last little bit, so we're trying to figure out how to get it right. I'm a Jew. Roxalyn, Wykes Casual, Warforged Games, thank you so much for the follow.
Happy to have you here.
The Mommy Cthulhu. What a name.
So, here's the thing, guys. There was a point when we hadn't seen Promised Neverland. And a lot of people wanted us to see the Promised Neverland. But now...
Guess what?
We finished it.
We finished it.
We have indeed finished it. It's kind of crazy to think about.
I think I like this a little bit more.
Looks whiter than usual. Gotcha.
Yeah, I know.
Better? Yeah.
Yeah, it looks a little whiter than usual. So maybe make it a little bit warmer. Not too white. There we go.
Yes, Jacob's face doesn't shine like a diamond anymore. Well,
very cold lighting. Yeah, that is a bit of the problem. Yeah. It's
because we used to have like yellow, like more regular lights, but we now actually have like legit LED photo lights. So yeah, we're getting used to, or rather I should say Caleb is getting used to how all of that works, because I don't know anything about that. Yeah,
your lighting is so much better on your Dota streams based on what I've seen. Not. You guys are getting Griffisu level white glow. Basically, I think it's something close to that.
Yeah.
The eyes are more pronounced though. Okay.
Yes. Caleb's Daniel Craig blue eyes. Yeah. Before we get too far into this, we have to do VIP shout out Erase Your Head.
Yeah. Before we get too much into this, so Erase Your Head is a new joining to our VIP group, but is not new to the Patreon. Thank you so much for your support, Erase Your Head. It means a lot, and we really appreciate what you've done to support us and having you on the VIP channel in the Discord. Speaking of which, if the Discord is something that's the first time you've heard of it, and you don't have a Twitch Prime, put to someone else.
Yeah.
And we're kind of awesome. Not a lot awesome, but a little awesome.
But, like, if you're already giving Bezos your money, might as well have him give some of that to us.
Exactly. Bezos has plenty to give. So help Bezos spend his money and Twitch Prime us. That actually is a great thing, too. That should be our tagline. Help Bezos spend his money. Support the bros with Twitch Prime. That's brilliant. All right, we're letting everyone get in here. Takes a while for these Twitch notifications to get sent out. Consider leaving a follow if you haven't yet. Yep. Yes. Hashtag help Bezos spend money. Yep, for real.
Basically. Although, let's be real. Amazon Prime is like so helpful. Like you've got fast shipping, like streaming services, and like other stuff that's all in there. Like there's so much wrapped up into there. It's crazy.
It's kind of scary how much of our lives is tied to subscriptions at this moment.
It's gonna get to the point where we don't actually buy anything. It's all based on renting things out and subscribtions and whatnot.
Well, subscriptions is a purchase still. It's just
but there's
passive
no ownership.
Recurring purchase. You're talking about acquisition. Okay, before we get into an economics podcast here,
because that's for Spice and Wolf.
That's for Spice and Wolf, exactly. Even though I haven't seen that, the reputation precedes it. We're going to be talking about the show The Promised Neverland. So, if this is a series that you have not watched yet, please leave the podcast.
At the very least, go watch the first episode, because we can't really tell you what it's about, because the first episode in and of itself is kind of a spoiler.
But we're going to be talking about the characters. We're going to be talking about the plot. We're going to be talking about the idea of it being like this really tight-knit kind of thriller, anime and what have you. And then we're also going to be making theories on what we think Season 2 is going to be like, since Season 2 was announced. And got all that all that good stuff here. Devilman to Promise Neverland to Vinland Saga. The Sunday slot has been absolute fire.
Especially recently.
Fire. That's why I'm wearing
Fire Nation.
Yeah, exactly.
See, it was staring us in the face the whole time. They were literally blaring at us. This is how it's going to end.
Fire.
Yeah. That opening though, like, it's so good. Like, that opening is on fire.
Yeah, let's get into this show, y'all, because while it's short, like it only had 12 episodes, we ended up getting so much character stuff on our core 3 that in some ways the OP kind of helped keep us grounded, because there's something like 38 kids. Well, that number goes down over time.
30.
But well, there were
Changes,
replacements. There were replacements. That number changes.
It flexes, you know.
But yeah, the OP basically told us this is Norman, Emma, and Ray's story in no particular order, but those 3 are going to be our core cast, and basically everyone else is like their background vocals or extra bass players for the purpose of their like awesome band.
Now, Swifty Nate made a great question. Favorite OP of the year so far? That is a great question. Let me look up something real quick, because this one is definitely up there, but I also need to find out when Domestic Girlfriend aired, because that would be the contender. But basically, I can't remember whether that was actually this year or not, but if it's not, right, then yeah, Promise Neverland.
Yeah, the OP definitely was fire.
Doro, give me fire. And then Promise Neverland
on fire. Yes.
Yeah.
Promise Neverland I almost said delivered, but delivered on Dororo's request.
Boy.
Like with Monster, The Witcher, and now Promise Neverland, I'm watching this without seeing it beforehand. Kappa. Hey, you know what? You do you. We cannot control your decisions in life, but yeah, season 2 is
Domestic Girlfriend aired this year. Okay, that's right. So I would say Promise Neverland is my second favorite opening.
Oh, Mob Psycho 100's OP was amazing. Really good too.
Dang, that's crazy to think about. That was also this year.
Bones, man.
Like
Mad Lads.
Whew.
Okay, so we're going to get into the story really quick, but I would say one of the things that we're going to just let you all know, that those of you that still stuck around, that are, because probably we haven't gone into really heavy spoilers yet, Promise Neverland was a really good anime.
Yeah.
It wasn't like top of the year, best ever anime or what have you, but they really set up a proper mystery story with some of the same, I would say, themes of Attack on Titan, but I would say taking a very classic old school story, The Great Escape, and basically bringing it into kids in the school type environment, anime with some twists thrown in there.
It's been a long time since I've been in, like, okay, something like Attack on Titan, sure, but I got into that a long time ago, especially considering like my anime career or whatever.
Yes.
But it's been a long time since I've gotten into a show and started it and been so gripped by the plot of the story. Because usually
so quickly.
Yeah, so quickly. Because the thing is that usually I'll become invested in the plot,
or
because,
like the characters first.
Well, right. I'll become invested in the plot because I've become invested in the characters, right? And then I care about what happens to the characters. I want to see where it goes.
Right.
But from just a plot standpoint of, oh shit, what's gonna happen here? How are they gonna do this? Okay, let's see where this goes. Like
extremely fast pacing with regards to how quickly they escalated the conflict. While a lot of shows you can kind of tell people the premise in the beginning, this show you can't really share that with people without going into minor spoilers. And while some people might consider first episode events not really a spoiler because it's the first episode,
for this it kind of
is. It feels in a lot of ways a little bit like Monster, but Monster I think is a little bit of a slower paced show, so you get about 3 episodes to get the full premise. This show basically gives you the very end of the first episode, bam! Like, it has that Attack on Titan first episode kind of thing, where you're like, this is so wonderful, wholesome, and hopeful, and there's some very creepy things going on, but I don't know what they mean. And then you see the numbers on their neck, and then they start talking about the outside world they haven't seen. You're like, all right, well, it's a creepy orphanage kind of boarding school thing. But, you know, that's pretty Victorian era.
Right, if anything, it's just like there's some sci-fi elements in here mixed with the Victorian, so it's like, okay, that could just be the aesthetic, you know?
It's the aesthetic,
but then it's like, but why is the OP so creepy and like, and
so intense.
And intense and stuff, and like, okay, what's going on?
Yeah.
And then...
Yeah, and then suddenly, bam, we're just like, we're in, we're going, and it's like, oh my God! You know, you can see like Joseph Joestar, like, use the secret technique!
Run!
And no.
Oh, man.
And I think this is a perfect anime, actually, to get people into anime.
Sure.
In the beginning.
Yeah.
Like, in terms of the dark stuff, you need to have someone that's interested in that. Mm-hmm. Like, they can't be someone that's like, you know, I only watch wholesome things. Because there's a bit of edge. There's a bit of edge in this show.
Definitely. But the idea that, like...
Yeah, just a little bit.
It kind of... I feel like it kind of plays to what people expect from anime while not being the things that are... that people would negatively expect about anime.
Yes,
so, like,
great
so,
point.
Like,
great
it doesn't
point.
have fan service, because, of course, they're kids, right? It doesn't have like overly dramatic like faces and stuff. The art style is very like simplistic. If
it's
anything,
a little bit moe.
Yeah, like if anything, the foreheads are really big, you know. But whatever.
There's a lot of adorable cuteness with like,
but basically,
Phil.
It's the idea of the big-eyed, you know, kid characters, right?
Yeah.
You know, that are basically just really young and really little, but then it uses that to its advantage because it's all about these kids and how do they escape and whatnot, and it's just
I think the best way to tell people, especially cultured people who know what the Great Escape is, or you can just tell them Chicken Run because they don't know actually what the Great Escape is, and they actually infer, it's Chicken Run the anime. I'm like, you uncultured swine.
But then it also kind of spoils because in the case of Chicken Run,
you don't know why they're supposed to escape.
Well, right, but I think that's why you don't want to say Chicken Run.
Exactly. You want to say the Great Escape. If you don't know what the Great Escape is, it's a World War II film. It's old school about some POWs that are trying to escape a POW camp. But in the POW camp, there isn't some impending timer of like, you have to do this quickly. It's more like, no, these people are making the choice because freedom is worth it. And they have a duty to escape so they can help out in the conflict overall. This story is timeless in terms of the idea of underdogs that have to escape from their oppressors. There's so many easy themes to bring out of that, but the idea that they add in this pressure of, you're on a time limit. We have to do this quickly. Mm-hmm. We not only have to do this quickly, the outside world and everything in it just got called into question. Well, everything that we know is wrong.
Because here's the thing about the Great Escape or Chicken Run that doesn't fit with this show, and why something like Attack on Titan does. Yeah. You're set up in a situation where you don't know anything. Your only perspective into this world is some kids that are right around the age of like the main characters in Attack on Titan at the beginning of the show.
Good point.
And the world's all wondrous and it's great. And there's walls. And it's like, okay, yeah, it's fine. Mm-hmm. But then it's what's outside the walls. And then you find out what's outside the walls, kind of, but you still don't really know. You just get a glimpse. And that glimpse is enough to terrify you and know that we need to get out of here.
Right.
But we don't know what we're getting out to.
Exactly.
And that, I love it so much. Because
it's a good contradiction. Because
there's
we should be more afraid of what's out there, but we're trying to escape here. Yeah. Because we'll eventually be sent out there on not our terms. So we're going to get out of here on our terms, which has that kind of child to adult rebellion stage
coming
kind
of
age,
thing, sort of wanting to seize your destiny. Yeah.
Yeah. And overall, in terms of how quickly things happen, I think the attention span of, you know, just people in general who are kind of casual movie watchers and stuff like that, this show, for having the anime 23-minute, you know, episode equivalent thing, at the end of every episode, there's something happening that is, like, bringing you, like, right back in to watch the next episode. It's just like, oh, yeah, Connie, episode 1. Crone, episode 2. Ray, episode 3. Like, that's the first 3 episodes right there.
Yeah.
Like, It blows my mind to think about how quickly they're just like, let's go, 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 go.
Like, if I were to, if anything, say some kind of like
flaw,
negative about the show, and this isn't really a negative, but it's the idea that because it did such a good job of having the cliffhanger at the end of every episode, I came to expect it. So it was the thing of like, okay,
how will my expectations be,
exactly, what's the crazy thing that they're going to do in some way, you know? That's
a good point.
But they did such a good job with it. Like that, even the ones that I like, that looking back on it, like I wish they had been done like slightly differently or not done as quite as much of a cliffhanger, you know?
Yeah.
It's still absolutely incredible. It was such a thrill-a-minute, breakneck pace show, while at the same time taking the slower route than I thought they were going to take. Like the whole idea of almost like the intrigue style thing of, okay, they don't know that we know, so that we will do this, but then they're thinking that they know, but then they can't hurt us because of this stuff, you know, so that we're going to use that to then, you know, like all that 200 IQ, you know, super smart anime character mind games, Keikaku Dori. I wasn't thinking that it would take that turn. I thought it was going to be something where it's like, okay, they're going to just get out like in the first, like, I don't know, 3 or 5 episodes or 6 episodes or something like that. But then it's going to be, we're out there. What do we do? We don't know what to do, right? You know, but then it's like, no. They're going to spend the entire first the first season, you know, just getting out.
And that's genius. Like, because we kind of know they're going to get out. Like, when you have a story that has like a whodunit type vibe, there's an unspoken rule in whodunit shows where you know they're going to figure out whodunit. There's only a handful of stories that have and the murderer was never found. So when you have a story that's based around escaping, it's not a question of if, it's a matter of when. So having it constantly be questioning not when are we getting out, but who's getting out. This was, I would say, the next evolution of The Promised Neverland from being, I would say, a good show to a great show. When you think about these characters, we didn't get actually that much time to get attached to them.
Nope.
That was probably one of the riskiest things that the anime did, was that because the fast pace was there, we didn't have enough time really to go heavy in depth into Dawn or Gilda
or even in a lot of ways.
Even in a lot of ways, the main three.
Because I would say Ray is the one that had the most like.
Yeah, the most focus.
And that's because he had the weirdest history.
He had the best backstory.
Right, exactly.
He came to this D&D thing with like 17 pages of backstory.
Well, that's the thing. He had a backstory.
Yes.
Kind of because of the setting, the whole point is that they don't have a backstory. They're just kids. They've been raised in this nice, quaint little place where nothing bad ever really happens. It's just sort of this idyllic little utopia. Yeah. And then they realize that, oh, wait, that's not actually true.
That's wrong.
That's wrong, right?
That is wrong.
And then it's about what they do now that they've discovered this. So then you see the characters maybe change or reveal different parts of themselves as you go forward.
Right.
But it's not like they built some super solid foundation for them at the beginning. It's like, okay, you've got the wholesome, positive one that cares about, you know, all the other kids.
The leader, basically.
Right. Yeah. You've got the one that's...
the strategist
and whatnot. And then you
has a little bit of a special care for the main leader character.
And then you have the tactician, which you're like, I'm not sure what that means. Until later, because then, you know...
you find out he's been all about the meta game of this whole world since he was a baby. Which... by the way, that was probably the thing that took the longest for me to clue into, was how deep Ray was in this. Not in the terms of, like, how much he had planned things, but in terms of how deep he was with regards to him, like, actually sacrificing himself to make sure that this all worked out. Like, that was probably a thing that, in my mind, conflicted too much with his... sacrifice the younger ones and ignore them and just get us out. You know, that kind of semi-selfish attitude contrasted with Emma's gregarious, you know, idealistic, in some ways impractical, not tactical view of how they would get out. So then once we figure out that Ray is basically like, no, I've resigned myself to never get out. Like I don't need to get out. He's like, I'm sticking it to them. Like, this is my rebellion. Which it's a very selfish way of looking at it, in that he's saying it's my rebellion. No one else matters. But it's
fantastic. Brilliant. Like, because when they did the twist with Ray, I was not fully on board with it, because I was like, okay, it feels like they're trying to make a villain here. Because, you know, with the whole thing of the yes, I am the spy.
Like, they really went overboard on his face to make it be like, I've been with her for 6 years.
Yeah. But then the idea that it's something of, no. I don't care if I die. I am sick and tired of being manipulated and being controlled.
Yeah. So that's where his and crazy comes from.
Exactly. Yeah. And the final choice that I have is how I go out. The that I'm not going to play your game anymore.
Right.
Like it's in some ways you could say that it's petty or whatever, but at the same time it's so perfect because in a situation like this, you would have things like that happen. Like if people found out and they really
just jump up on the cliff and throw themselves to their deaths.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, well, I'm going to die anyway. Cool. The day before, right? Yep. I'm going to just do something so that way at least you don't get me.
Yeah. Like we're gonna talk about Isabella. Isabella.
Yeah.
But there's a very real possibility that once she realized that there was no way out by herself like that, she might have been talked down from a ledge, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I mean, she was literally talked down from a ledge, and that could have meant other things, too.
Yeah, her whole line about cursing death rather than me, to Emma and stuff. Hold on. 89G, thank you so much for the follow. Glad to have you here.
Yes.
All right, so we've got our core cast, right? We've got Norman, Emma, and Ray. We've got them here. There's the Harry Potter trio, it's tried, it's true, but let's make the girl the main character here because
let's get rid of Ron because nobody liked him.
Yeah, let's make actually Ron intelligent and tactical and stuff, and no really stupid romance stuff. If there is a little bit of a crush thing going from Norman to Emma, it's more like he sees the light that she has, and it's something that inspires him.
Well, and it's the idea that with where they're at. They're best friends, right? Yeah. And the whole idea of like romance, like no, they haven't turned 12 yet. Like they're about to turn 12.
They're kids.
Yeah, they're kids, right? Yeah. So that's where they're at. Now, if it were to be something where maybe this show ends up going on for like 5 in-universe years or something, like it's this big long thing, or they do a time skip or whatever, then I could absolutely see stuff like that happening because it has the foundation of, well, one, they escaped from certain death together.
Yeah,
but,
let's say they end up out there. We'll do season 2 theories eventually, but they basically end up in a place outside where humans are hiding from, the demons or what have you. And then they basically are like, all right, well, we're going to rest here and prepare, and then we'll set out, after we've had a place of safety. And they set out 3 years later or whatever when it's time to go, like, rescue Phil and all of them or what have you.
Sure.
Like, who knows? But... okay.
Nah, Phil will get them out just all by himself.
Okay, so
he's that good.
We have our main 3, but let's talk about our side characters, because I would say this is probably the only area where things got a little wonky. We have Crone, who was, I would say, the best of the side characters. We have Dawn and Gilda, who were not really given...
I mean, they're side characters, or
tertiary characters even. Yeah. Like, they barely got any focus. They had their part to play in the overall structure of the plan and what have you. But in terms of characterization, it was quite small. We have other characters who were, like, really, really small parts of it, localized into, like, 1 or 2 episodes here and there. We have Phil... but the really big actual side character who felt almost like a main character is Isabella. Like she is technically a side character though.
Well, I don't know. I wouldn't say she is because even though she's not one of the protagonists, she's still like she completely owns the other side.
Yeah, she is the antagonist. Right. She is the titular antagonist.
And she gets enough focus even if it's from afar and it's just her staring creepily and having that smile.
Her knowing expressions.
Yeah, exactly.
The passive perception of near JoJo level, like, stuff.
Well, and the part where she has the kids, like, say, like, a prayer for the food or whatever, as, like, Crone's getting killed, and it's like, oh, God.
Yeah. Isabella is intense. And I'd say, in a lot of ways, Isabella was what I would say... maybe in some ways saved the side characters for me.
Oh,
because Crone I did not like as much early on.
No, it
she had too much extra about her. But once the story kept going, once the story evolved, and once there became this thing of, she's not necessarily just, a member of the house's staff. She is potentially someone that we can work with, someone that we can manipulate and
it created
use
some interesting,
to our own means.
It created some interesting plot dynamics having Crone there. But as for the character, even though the end scene, where she's in her final moments, that was fantastic.
That was amazing.
The rest of her she kind of boiled down to just sort of the crazy bad guy.
Right, and I think that's okay. In some ways, we were a bit waiting for Isabella to, reveal her crazy, because she had to have it, because she just seemed too cool and collected. The idea of her character having these smiles when you know what's going on, it just makes her seem so insidious. I have a friend, and she's an artist and stuff, and she had saved little art pieces that she had done where she's basically taking Isabella's creepy smile and upping the ante on the creepy of it, because she knows what's going on, and the way that she kind of condescendingly looks down on the kids with I know, and you can't do anything about it. I know what you're trying to do, and you can't stop me. It's just it's so good. Wait.
Nintendo.
Oh my
Isabella
God.
gave everyone a scarousal.
Oh my God.
Return of the Y-boner
with a vengeance. Oh man,
but
great.
The thing
great
is
quote.
that Isabella really was terrifying.
Yes.
Because it's not making the comparison to a race, right? Where you have kids, and then you have, adult antagonists, right? That is trying to kill them.
That feels like a predator in a lot of ways.
The thing is that in the case of Erased, it wasn't the antagonists themselves. It was the fact that you didn't know really who the antagonist was, even though you knew who the antagonist was,
and you didn't know what or when they were going to do their thing.
There were a lot of unknowns here, whereas with Isabella it was a much more stable, controlled environment. You knew who the antagonist was, you knew what the rules were. Don't get shipped out. They wait about a few months or whatever in between each shipment. It's before you turn 12, things like that. And yet, because the internal machinations of her mind, the inner machinations of my mind are an enigma. It was so terrifying to see that smile and that stare, because
we didn't know what was going on inside.
Know how much she knew. Man.
Oh man. Yeah. It's something where I look at Crone and I think about it in terms of, I would say, the way you build up one character is sometimes you sacrifice one character on the altar of that character's badassery development or what have you. And while Crone, we knew that she was temporary. We knew that she was a B-tier side villain.
She made
Isabella, a splash.
Well, she made a splash, but it was also a lot of fun to see Isabella remain cool and collected throughout all the things that Crone tried to do.
And then when she one-upped Crone so hard, just completely threw everything for a loop with her, you really felt bad for Crone. Suddenly, all your sympathy that had not been there for her just comes gushing out.
Well,
I didn't really like her in terms of a character, but I loved the way she went out.
Oh yeah, that was fantastic.
That was something where I feel like this is what the show did well in terms of its retroactive storytelling. Because retroactive storytelling is something I don't usually like as much. Is they basically inform you of backstory and stuff and all the extra meaning of a character's presence once they're basically done.
Right.
And it's why couldn't I have had it earlier so that the build up to their end meant more? You know?
And if you do retroactive kind of storytelling or gaining perspective on a character, then the tough thing is that in rewatch, you should either have something where it makes perfect sense. Oh, I see now why they were doing all these things. Or you want to do something where maybe my perspective character is biased, right?
Sure.
And then that way they weren't properly seeing what was actually there, right?
Yeah.
Like with Harry Potter, like Harry and Snape, right? All the things that Snape does.
Example, yeah.
There are reasons why Harry doesn't like Snape, but so much of it, the 80%, the overwhelming majority of it is that Harry just really doesn't like Snape, right? Hence why he's constantly like, I think it was Snape. I think it was Snape. We can't trust Snape. Oh no, it's Snape, right? When really it was far from it, right?
Yeah. Oh, Red Alchemist 18, thank you so much for the Twitch Prime for the 8th month.
Yes, thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you very, very much.
Yeah, Crone played herself. Yeah.
yeah. Crone definitely played herself. And this show has, actually a small cast of characters that they give focus on, despite having 40-odd characters shown around on screen, uniquely at least. I don't think we ever get a full shot of all the kids and
even
Isabella
in the OP,
and Crone.
I don't think
because I think it's only about 20 or something like that. Because
they ever really
right,
show.
Because there's babies that they're
exactly,
not really going to show.
Yeah.
But the world, despite being such a limited perspective thing, which I will say, major props to the mangaka, how they developed this world. They gave us a limited perspective,
less is more,
third person kind of thing regarding just the environment that these kids have to explore. And kids are naturally curious, so getting to see how they do life, playing tag, hide and seek, or what have you, that's brilliant. We are given so much subtle world building early on that basically primes you for the whole mystery of what's out there. Why are these kids here? Wait a minute. Okay, now we know why they're here. But wait, now really, what's out there? Like, what happened? Why is this happening? Like, there's so many good questions that they slowly start to peel back the layers of the onion on, and yet there's still so much that's left up in the air. There's proper nouns out there, y'all. Proper nouns and names of people that they're just still left out there as plot points, and we'll eventually find out what they are, who they are, but...
Right, and it's something where the proper nouns that they drop are spaced out and they're few.
Yep.
Right?
Very few.
So it's something... Because, like, one of the things that can... I mean, there's no rules with art. Like, all rules are meant to be broken. But, like, one of the things that can be really rough is when you drop a lot of proper nouns in the very beginning, and it's just like, okay, what's this supposed to mean? In this case, when they did drop the proper nouns, it was chilling because they don't do that, right? The whole point is that you don't know a lot about this world.
Yeah.
You're wanting to know about this world, but you don't. It's the story's holding it back.
You're locked in with these kids.
Right,
like,
exactly.
You're
locked in with these kids. You want to escape, right? You want to see what's out there. And then they'll just drop this one little thing. And you
like dive on it like a bird on a fly.
Hold on a second.
You're just like
it's absolutely wonderful.
Yeah, the ones that stood out to me the most were the William Minerva character that brought in the books, which is just brilliant to just drop the name and have it be like, oh, like they didn't do any like anime hype up things later of like, oh, remember the whole William Minerva thing. Yeah. It's more like, no, I remember that name without even notes. There it is on our notes. Yeah. But just the idea that like, it shook me. I'm like, well, what's going to be the tie-in for that later? And then the event, the celebration, the what have you, the Tefari, the idea of there's this special thing.
And the hierarchy among the demons and whatnot.
Right.
Like, okay.
It's like, we're getting hinted at things and we have no idea what it means in its entirety, but it's just stuff that we just get to imagine it. We just get to let it happen. So it just tells that the story has a longevity, that it knows it's going to deliver on these plot points, and it's just letting us know that like we're in for the long haul with these kids, learning things. And if anything can be thematically tied in out of this, it's that when a kid grows up, they break off the umbilical cord, they cast off from the idea of dependency, and they go to basically I think it would be independency instead of interdependency, because there's a midway point to interdependency once they learn the value of relationships and stuff. And they're me strike off on my own. But one of the things that all the adults will say is like, wait until they see how the real world is. There's this idea that the kids are being told and reinforced that there's this idea that the world systems don't work the way that it is when mommy or daddy does all these things for you.
Well, right. It's the idea of desiring something different and not necessarily taking into consideration why things are the way they are now.
Yeah.
Because it's all about change, right? Which is good. And you can have change come. But then the people that are a part of that established system are like, no, that's never going to work. And the thing is that, well, a lot of the times it doesn't. Sometimes it does. Most of the time the kids don't get out. sometimes they do.
Yeah.
Right? There were a couple questions.
That we missed. Let's go back up there.
One was just for me of Myers-Briggs type. I'm an INTJ.
Yes.
Yeah, and Caleb's the INFJ. But then the other one that I thought was really cool was, how do you guys feel about how both antagonists that interact with the kids end up helping them, even if just slightly?
Oh, it makes perfect sense.
That was great.
It makes perfect sense.
It was wonderful. Because
I wish we had theorized about it earlier. Just that we had gone on those conversations, because it was like, they're trapped in here with the kids too.
Right, exactly. And
they can't do anything about that.
And they once were the kids, is the thing. Because if it was something where they were raised from birth strictly to be like moms and things like that, I get that.
Yeah, that could have been the case.
And that probably would have made there be a much bigger disconnect. But that probably would have resulted in them not bringing up the kids as well as if they, had experienced everything and whatnot and really were able to care for the kids. And then because you do that, then there's little dangers that come into play. Yeah. It's a great way to humanize them, even though they still do a lot of things that it's like, man, that's messed up.
They allow a lot to happen. And I would say one of the curious things that this show did was it really questioned the idea of intent with regards to evil. I'm not going to get into the whole evil thing, but the idea of intent versus action. So what is Isabella's intent with the kids? To give them a wonderful, wholesome utopia for the 11 to 12 years that they get to live here. To grow them up, love them, and nurture and care for them. And also to make sure that they stay for that whole thing. There is this great contradiction where you can feel that Isabella really does love the kids, but she also will rule with fear if she has to.
It makes me think of, like, not exactly this, but the same kind of feeling as when Lad in Bakano talks about, but you must accept my love too. Angry love. It's like, yes. Oh boy. Oh boy.
Oh, yes. But that's the other thing. Isabella's not the one killing them.
But she lets them die. She ships them off to die.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And can you imagine, like, how many times she's thought about, what if I got all the kids on my side and we tried to escape? And
she's screwed.
She's screwed because she can't get out. But what if she found a way to remove the thing in her sternum, in her chest, or what have you?
Somehow, yeah.
Yeah. What if she found a way? The idea that she's thought of that probably for decades. Or maybe a decade. She's not that old. Right. But, like, there's no way around it. It's brilliant to think that once this whole thing is over, we all empathized with her. Now, a lot of people might not have. Sorry. I empathized with her a lot. And it wasn't just the Ray situation, which was, I would say, a huge chunk of it. But just the idea that she probably thought about all that and couldn't. Like, there's just multiple times that she probably was like, I got to do something, but at the very least, this is the best I can do. This is the best I can give. And at some point, she broke her own humanity in order to make that okay, to make herself okay with that. Like, in some ways, the denial is so real, it's beautiful.
Yep. Because that's, again, one of the most human things to do. Humans are humans because they're imperfect, right? They're weak. They have the moments of strength, but those moments of strength are given value because they don't happen often, right? Because it takes a lot to do. So the fact that we have someone like Isabella who had been so broken, even while being this amazing, terrifying, guardian of this child farm.
She is basically the demon in human form for this whole story. That's the whole point. It's the demon that you can't...
There's the
wolf
people
in sheep's clothing.
There's the people that do the bad things, and then there's the people that let the bad things happen.
Exactly.
Those, oh man.
Yeah, definitely.
That is a crazy theory, Roxaline. So, it's about the Tefari. It's, what if the Tefari isn't an event? What if it's the name of a group of people, more specifically, a group of the most exceptionally smart kids that they gather up for some reason that wasn't food, and they wanted Norman, Ray, and Emma for that group, which is why they were so adamant about not killing them when they were escaping.
Well,
that would be crazy, but then...
I think it'd be more of a thing of live live meat.
Yeah. Killing them then would be a problem, and especially, like, what's the point of bringing the brain? Unless they try to go like another show and have there be a bunch of brains in, like, tank fluid that's all, like, running the, everything.
Yeah, I think if anything, we might get into weird ritual stuff in future seasons, but I'll get to that in theory.
I mean,
stuff later.
If you're doing a 7-course banquet for your king, you have to, put some ceremony into it.
Right.
You don't just throw the food on a plate and
for real
set it in front of them.
Also, TPN is written and drawn by 2 different people. One is an artist and one is a writer. Oh, that's very cool.
That is awesome.
That's awesome. Yeah. How do you? Oh, yeah, we already answered that question. Would you have taken mom's offer of becoming a mom if you didn't have any other options?
See,
now, I don't know.
Here's the thing.
I don't know.
The spirit of FU, I feel like is pretty strong in me.
Yeah.
But at the same time,
or the fear of getting eaten.
Well, sure, but the idea, I don't know what I would do if I was genuinely that terrified for my life, because I've never really been in that situation.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I've been in situations where I was in danger, but the idea of like an impending doom, like maybe the impending doom would actually make it easier, because if you don't feel like there's anything you can do, then you don't seize up because you don't worry about like making a mistake or something.
For sure.
But like, yeah, I don't know.
She found a way, like Manwë. Wow. I love that you're making like all these Silmarillion references now, Amju. Isabella trying to make the best out of a horrible situation she was born into, like every other mother or sister in the show. Yep. And I think that's a brilliant character writing thing. The flaw that she has is that she lost hope. Like I will go,
and that was the thing that helped Emma and the rest of them escape.
Yep.
And Ray, like, because Ray did lose hope.
Yeah, in a lot of ways, that's the parallel between Emma and Isabella. Let's talk about that, actually. Let's go deep into the characterization of the main 3. So I think Emma is the best written of the 3. I just gotta say, they focused on their main character despite having all the extra focus on Ray. I think that Emma is the best written of the 3 because it's her characterization that goes through the most visible, just seemingly at least, despair. She has hope being her thing. She wants to ride a giraffe, y'all. Yeah. Then it becomes a thing of, I want to save everyone. And everyone's kind of like, well,
they're being normal and like that's kind of a big that's a big list. Yep. Like maybe go for something more.
Yeah, like Norman tries realistic. To kind of be like, yeah, we can try that, and she's like, no, we have to. Like we have to. And even at the end, they don't save everyone because they can't. It's just not possible. So the brilliance, I would say, of Emma is that she starts off as the one who is the light, the sun, the Hinata kind of energy, hopeful optimism. Then she gets taken through the ringer multiple times. In fact, in some ways, a lot of the other characters in those main 3, I wouldn't say they have it easy because they're each dealing with their own struggles in some ways. But Emma basically has everyone leave, abandon her in some ways. And she's the one that basically bounces back up at the bottom.
Right. If anything,
reminds people like Ray, like, oh, we're not done yet.
Right.
Like,
and that's both wonderful, and on the other hand, the twist that she was pretending to be defeated. It's almost something where if they did have more time for the show, I would want to see where the line is drawn between Emma acting and actually feeling defeated. How long did she actually feel defeated? Now, granted, there was the thing that Norman, did and all that stuff. Like, in a lot of ways now, maybe this is just because, whatever, he's the white-haired, cold, calculating character and whatnot.
He's not cold, though.
But he's not cold. He's not cold. Yeah, exactly. And that's why I like him so much as a character. Like in a lot of, like, Emma is absolutely fantastic, and I don't think anyone will deny that when they watch the show. So like when I think about like one of my favorite characters, it's like, yes, Emma is definitely a major contender for first, but at the same time, it's like,
who'd you put at first?
If it wasn't Emma, I would put Norman.
Okay, why Norman?
the thing is that with Ray, a lot of the development that happened with him seemed to be based around factual sort of plot things that he had as a part of his backstory, and it was more like revealing his backstory rather than seeing the things that he did in the present, with the major exception that I think of basically being when we discover that he is going to kill himself. That whole scene and everything was fantastic. But the idea of Norman being in a lot of ways the most normal of the three, which is weird to say because he's not a normal kid, but
interesting.
Like
no, I would say if anything, he seemed the most like. He seemed the most.
Maybe it's just that he's the most like me.
Yeah, I think he's the most like you. If anything, I think he's, if anything, the one that felt the most like he was able to put himself above the situation, which is, I would say, not normal. He was least. I would say he was probably the least selfish of all the three.
But like
he felt almost in some ways a little bit too perfect at certain points.
Really?
So I felt like, if anything, I identified more with Emma because her flaws were way more apparent. And
that's
I would say
interesting,
more obvious.
because for the exact same reason, that's why I think I like Norman more than Emma. Because in the case of Emma, she's awesome, right? She's wonderful, and we would all love to have, a friend like that. And
for sure.
And if we were in that situation, we would all want to have someone like that in that situation. It's going to say, no, we're all getting out of here, right?
Right. Yeah.
But it was the idea that Norman was basically trying to juggle all these different things, and he was struggling in ways that I wanted to see him struggle. It wasn't about the whole like smarts of the thing.
Right.
It was, it was about, okay, how are we going to get out of here? Whereas with Emma, I feel like the struggling ended up being more around the smarts of the thing rather than about, am I going to get everyone out of here?
Oh, okay.
Like, if that makes sense?
Yeah, I felt like, if anything, she had the actual despair hit her. Because regardless of whether or not Norman is alive or dead, Norman's gone. Norman's gone. So she lost the most out of anyone.
Right, and then she basically just dug deep and is like, well, fine, let's... Yeah. Okay.
So I take it as everything up to Norman being about to leave. Because the thing is he tells her the plan before he leaves.
Right.
Now, the despair of him leaving is still real because he's still leaving.
Yes. But it is less. Like, because okay, the despair that she was exuding was a facade.
No, I disagree. I think that
she said it was a facade.
Yes. The facade.
Not that it wasn't there.
The facade post him leaving. I don't think that she...
Yes,
I don't think she thinks Norman is alive. I think she thinks Norman is dead.
Yeah.
The despair of, I'm not acting, like I'm not making action. That, I would say, was fake. But the despair of Norman is gone. Norman is dead as far as I'm concerned. That was real. That's why I think, if anything, Mom never suspected anything.
Well, right, because and that's one of those things. Like, if Norman is the equivalent of like the mentor character in this show, right? Because he's the one that's so smart. It's sort of like, okay, trust Norman and everything will be more or less okay, right?
Yeah.
And then suddenly he's gone, and it's like, what the hell do we do? Like the fact that the act that Emma put on for Mom was so believable, I absolutely believed it, right? Is because there was that part of it that was real, right? Even if it didn't have the same results of the inaction and all that stuff,
right?
I could absolutely believe that was happening, and that Emma had finally just broken, just like her leg, all over in an instant.
Wow, yeah. You went there.
But
for sure.
That scene, by the way, was terrifying. Like, ugh.
Yeah, Emma didn't know the plan right away. Norman wrote her a letter, which she read after Norman left. Right. That's right.
Yep.
Thank you. Okay.
Yeah.
So she didn't know the plan. Okay. Right. Yeah. That makes more sense.
Which is like, of course, because otherwise Mom would have been able to tell when Norman left that Emma knew something was up, right? Yeah.
One cool thing you guys didn't notice, but is cool on a rewatch, is that Isabella is singing her lullaby in episode 1 while shipping Connie, Later on in the show, Ray's backstory, he tells us that he has memories from the womb, and his first memories are hearing a lullaby. Then the night he was about to be shipped out, we hear him sing the lullaby as Emma comes and shows that smirk that she hasn't given up. Plus, next episode after we see Isabella sing the lullaby. So, foreshadowing. Yes, that is a really good point. I knew that the song was basically a thing that we had heard before, but I had no idea where, because I hadn't attributed value to the song being something that we had, to point to look out for. But yeah. Do you think there's a possibility that Mom knows the identity of the Minerva guy, whatever his name was? I mean, it felt apparent toward the end of the last episode that she actually wanted them to escape. I think that's true, yeah. So could it be possible that she intentionally let those books in? I mean, we haven't really seen any relevance for the books to the actual plot, but since they were brought up, it doesn't feel like they're irrelevant either. Well, they're totally relevant to the plot.
The reason why I would say that we can bank on the fact that Isabella was actually trying to keep them there is that we saw her at moments where no one else was watching.
Yes.
Because of that, I would say that's where you know that she's being her sincerest self.
Yeah.
So
she wanted them to stay.
Yep.
And the times where we see her alone with Phil, or we see her once she realizes that they've gone out and stuff, she chases after them. She chases after them all the way. The only time where she hesitates maybe is once she's up on the wall again.
Sure.
And that's probably just the emotion of realizing that it's too late already. So why... Like, they've already escaped. It would be just a petty thing to kill Emma at this point. And maybe
she might not even be able to, because Emma could just start swinging and...
Yeah. And maybe in some ways, she realized at that point that Emma and her were very much alike, but somehow Emma went beyond her. And if you're a parent, you know that one of the most important things for you is not just showing love to your child, but helping them grow beyond you.
Yes.
So that your ceiling is their floor, basically.
Right. Mm-hmm.
It's one of the things that I think shows them what's the word? The matra, the motherly caring, what's the word?
Matriarch?
No. Maternal. Thank you. The maternal aspect of Isabella was basically that she was proud of Emma at the end, basically.
Right, exactly. And that's again one of those things where it's the contradiction, because she was absolutely like, and that's why I'm glad that they didn't go the route of she was secretly wanting them to escape or anything, because then that makes it too simple. Whereas the idea of no, she's sadistic. She keeps the kids there and she raises them and she loves on them and she ships them out, no problem.
Yep.
That makes it so that when suddenly she has the conflict and she's like, oh, they are escaping, and I didn't want them to escape, but you know what? Good job.
Yeah.
Like, that makes it have a lot more meaning to me.
For sure. I agree, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So we have Isabella's character who's gone through and just been this walking contradiction of a character, and she was a terrifying antagonist for our main trio of kids, and Dawn and Gilda and the rest of them and stuff.
Sure.
But it's the moments where she basically doubles down on the, no, you are staying, and in fact, I want to plan for the future for you. Emma, I can put in a good word for you.
Yeah.
And just the idea that she basically was like, not only am I going to break this kid's leg at the knee, which is terrifying, she did it so that Emma could recover. Right. Like the amount of sadistic, it's like terrifying, like almost like sociopathic just delusion that Isabella is enveloped in is so good, because she actually believes she's helping them find happiness amidst this hellish landscape where just their little reality bubble they're in is like, don't worry, I won't pop the bubble. Everything will be daishobu.
You know what's one of my favorite things about how Isabella is set up?
Yeah, what's that?
Is that she's a great parallel to the helicopter parents out there.
Sure.
I want to keep you here. I want to keep you safe, right?
Yeah.
Because this is the best for you.
Yeah.
Right? They know what's best for you, rather than the kids eventually growing up and deciding for themselves what's best for them, right?
Yeah, why are you fighting? I provide so much good things for you. Isn't what I do
and then
enough
how that
for
can
you?
get so twisted where it's I'll break your leg, I'll do all this stuff, I'll set you up. I have a future all planned for you.
Yeah.
It's gonna be great. Don't fight it. Just go along with it. You'll thank me later.
Yep, there was a lot of really good elements of real abusive relationships and how Isabella was with the kids, especially in episode 8. Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah,
it was probably the best thing I would say about the character dynamics was how Isabella got better with every episode. Like, she was good in episode 1 because we're like, oh, cold mom that is actually like doesn't care about her kids being shipped off to be eaten. That's cool. Then it's, oh no, she's intelligent. She's calculating. She brought in a little chaos character just to tell you how powerful and in control she is. Just to shake things up so that she can maybe let the chaff rise to the top of this butter she's churning. Like she's got this place on lock.
I feel like with crazy characters, the way you make them really compelling, and Isabella is a great example, is you make it so that basically like with most characters that are crazy or turn villains or whatever, it seems like they'll do something where it's like, okay, the character's here and everything's fairly normal, right? You know, it's all straightforward, whatnot. But, you know, they have this one
spike or something,
philosophy or something like that, or a spike, you know, one bad day or something like that. And then all of a sudden they just go completely different direction. And that can be fine. You can do a lot of cool things with that. But I feel like the really good crazy characters do two things at the same time. And those things don't connect. They're completely in opposition with each other. And yet they do them both at the same time, and it doesn't feel like they're in conflict with each other in their head.
Griffith is a great example of that. In some ways, I think Isabella is on the level in terms of a microcosm, because Griffith is obviously a better villain. But in terms of a microcosm of that part, that duality, that Isabella is on that level.
Well, and in some ways,
just like
even if she's not a better villain,
yeah,
I would say she's a better example of crazy.
Oh,
because in the case of Griffith, we see how he becomes what he ends up becoming.
Right. But we see his more broken side more than his crazy.
But we don't see him after the fact as much, right? We because then he's always putting on the show and things like that, right? Whereas with Isabella, that's all we get to see, right? And it's, you know, the two things, and it's like, how do both of those things fit inside that head of yours? Yeah,
for sure. Yeah, Isabella's duality is what makes her so crazy. This reminds me of that Stephen King novel of a crazy fan breaking the legs of a novelist resting at her house. Can't remember the name, though. Oh, dang.
Wow.
If Emma didn't recover from that, Isabella was going to be in big trouble with the demons. Well, yeah, obviously. She knew what she was doing. Chaos is a ladder, after all. Oh, well put, yes. Oh, and then when she basically began holding the babies hostage by always having one with her.
Oh, yeah.
That's some just creepy stuff. Oh, and just to clarify, because I think it wasn't clear enough, I didn't mean to say that she wanted them to escape all along, but the fact that in the end, when they did escape, she realized that it didn't matter, and she then wanted them to escape, especially since we saw the parallel between her and Emma.
Right, exactly. Because it's the idea that Emma was able to not give up, not lose hope, all that stuff, and then eventually she was able to do the thing that she once thought was impossible. Isabella thought was impossible, and then of course.
Yeah, for sure. Well, so what you're saying is Isabella X Griffith power couple 2019.
That would be interesting.
I don't know. I mean, Griffith does have a lot of children following him around that shouldn't be.
Here's the thing. Isabella's too good for Griffith. I'm sorry.
Oh, shoot.
Griffith deserves... Here's something that I would read this fanfic. Even if it maybe was a little bit lemony, if people even say that anymore.
Ha!
So, Isabella slapping Griffith.
Yes! Oh!
I would love that. I would love that.
Her and Rickert just
taking turns.
Smoke weed every day. Just walking out with the glasses and shade. Just...
like Rickert slaps him and it's like, whoa, oh my god, what just happened?
And then Isabella just teleports behind her.
Yeah,
and nothing personal.
They just whack. Rickert just taps out and then Isabella goes up. Okay. Yeah.
All right. But bringing this back to The Promised Neverland, I would say that this show benefited from being a one-core show, but I do wish more shows that were going to have basically the determined structure of, this is how many episodes we're going to do. Really think about having still one episode in the beginning to establish more of the characters beyond their capabilities. And I think this show didn't go into a problem with this in particular, but this show had 12 episodes. I think it could have had a 13th episode where they set up the character dynamics a little bit more and had them maneuvering around sharing the information or whether to not share the information, have it foreshadow more the fact that they told everyone back when Emma talks to Norman when they're doing the laundry of like, I think we should just tell everyone. So I think this show could have benefited from another episode, but that's like basically saying I wanted more of a good thing. So, there you go.
Right.
The world building and I would say the presentation and all that were pretty good, but I think if anything, there was also this feeling of it being kind of the place being a symbol. Like there's a lot of symbolic storytelling, I would say, that was pretty good.
What do you mean?
Just the idea of the Victorian era orphanage with the mom who is actually kind of cruel and cold and cutthroat, and the kids
kind of like
basically
what was that like?
Like a
Charles Dickens story?
Dickens kind of thing. Yeah, there's that aspect of it, but instead of having it be a thing of where they get a taste of the real world and they abandon their, matriarchal overlord, they basically have it be a thing of where we need to figure out a way to game her system, to play at her game. But they actually made her competent to the point where I felt like the symbolic storytelling was basically that kids in a lot of ways need a little bit of that structure in order to properly grow up. Like here's
absolutely.
Like in terms of symbolism, I don't feel like this was a throw off the structure, death to the system kind of an anime, which I think in some ways Attack on Titan is more of. And I think that's what might separate this a little bit, is that the system and the structure actually prepped Norman, Emma, and Ray so that they could escape. The Phils of the group basically, like Phil is like a little demigod of like perception and intelligence.
Well,
and
we could have the entire podcast be about Phil practically because he's just so adorable, and I love how there are so many more just wholesome, adorable characters, like specifically like little kids that are in anime nowadays. It seems because it's almost like they're telling the weebs, procreate, we can't die out as a species, but that's
a Japanese problem. We've got no issue with that here in the US. I mean, maybe a little bit, but yeah.
But the idea that basically they basically had to learn and they had to be taught and eventually they found out the truth that this place is no good. But like the fact that Phil, he stays there, right, with the rest of the little kids, right. They're going to break out eventually, right, because that's part of the natural progression, right. It will be hard to do, and there will be all kinds of struggles that will come with that, and hopefully the demons don't get too like familiar with like, hold on a second, they're okay. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. There was just a second breakout. I think we should just clean out all the stock.
Or maybe they'll just up security a little bit.
Sure, or clean out the stock.
Well, I mean, literally, they could solve the whole problem by making the pit twice as wide. Like, that would basically solve the whole problem.
That's definitely true.
It would be impossible to get out at that point. Like,
or even just making it so it's like, cool, that's great. What we're going to do is we're going to add steel plating that's like 2 inches thick, right?
Sure.
And we're going to have that go up another 10 feet.
Yeah.
So that way it's like, you get up there, that's great. You're not going to be able to stand at the actual top of it.
Right. That might instill some level of fear. There's probably a reason why the wall isn't that intimidating and tall, because makes people think like, oh, it's just a little wall, you know, it's okay. It's
right,
not
and then they get up to the top and they're like, well, shit.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but most people don't do that.
Exactly. Well, and the fact that they were able to even get up to the top of the wall, that was, I'm not sure if that was anime physics or if that was actually something that you could very much do, and because they're such big brains, they were able to figure it out. But yeah, the precaution on top of the precaution I loved.
Okay, Ramiz is saying some things were not in the anime but was in the manga. Biggest things being internal monologue, which was removed. That gave them more set motivations and character dynamics early on that you wanted, Caleb. Gotcha. By the way, some imagery was removed too, which gave more hints in world building.
Gotcha.
Interesting. I mean, I'm sure in adaptation and stuff, there's a little things that are taken out, and usually the manga has things that the anime doesn't that make, you know, consuming both mediums worthwhile. And in a lot of ways, anime should adapt differently from the manga slightly, so that when you go and read the manga, you're like, oh, there's a little extra here. This is a little something something. It's pretty good.
That's the Shinzo Abe, please have kids propaganda. Look at these kids. Aren't they cute? Look at how cool these kids are. Please have kids. Please, I'm begging. Stop buying Dakimakuras and have kids. Onegashimasu.
Yes, exactly. Oh, man. Wait. Based on Ray's wording during their first discussions, Norman could tell that Ray didn't consider himself a part of the escape plan, thus starting to suspect whether he intends to sacrifice himself. And Ray pretending to act completely out of self-interest when he was out as the spy might have also been because he wanted to be used by Norman and Emma and left behind because of his sins. Yes, he said so as much as the thing that would make sense for you guys to do is to use me to the fullest. Right. Why are you trusting me this way? And that was, I think, the genius of Emma basically saying, we gain nothing by distrusting you. Right. You already have us by the gonads if you want to. So we're going to assume the best about you because it leads to the best result for us, or it just ends it immediately. And then we don't have to dick around with who to trust. I thought that was brilliant by subverting the usual expectations of the, but are they a triple, quadruple agent? No. We have to work together, otherwise this doesn't work. So it was really good. Yeah.
Excellent question, Nintendo. But will I ever be able to birth a kid like Phil, though? Who knows? But there's a chance. So you're telling me there's a chance?
Yeah. Phil's a 1 in a million, and then you go. So you're telling me there's a chance?
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, as long as you play Mozart, you know, while the kid's sleeping, and then you IQ test the kid with some brilliant stuff and put them in an orphanage full of 37 kids. Oh wait. Okay, so maybe Phil's a little bit of a 1 in like a billion, you know.
I mean.
But yeah, that means
there's
just
that means
Emma.
Like, my heart.
Oh my god.
See, because here's the thing: it wasn't just adorable; it was so like concerned and sincere and everything.
Yeah,
it was
just, exactly. Okay, so we have our first season basically set up here. The OP basically told us how this was going to go. It went down. We have the entire, like, okay, you should rewatch this first season because you're going to get so much idea about how they were actually planning this stuff and when they were actually testing out the bottle rockets, you know, and playing with something that looked like toys and stuff. That was actually them prepping for everything, and that's all good and fun. But we've got a world out there that they're going to explore. They've basically said, okay, did you like the way this show kind of did its first season there? The next season will be nothing like this.
Right, and that's the, oh man.
And that's so cool because then we get to go into theory crafting.
Because,
because it's so open world.
Well, that's in terms of the ways the thing. Because like with something like Attack on Titan, there's this notion that, okay, we can go outside the walls.
Yep.
But we always have to come back. Because Titans, right?
Because Titans.
And granted, that's maybe less with the most recent stuff, but you know, totally. Whatever. But still, whereas with this,
we're never going back.
They're never going back,
and not for a very long time.
Not for a very long time. And the thing is, so it is a permanent shift in the setting at the very least of the show,
and the structure,
if not the tone and the structure and everything else.
Yep.
And they can still have plenty of cat and mouse kind of games going on.
And the same themes of freedom.
Yeah,
and,
exactly.
You know,
they can
working
still do
together.
That. But the idea that it's going to be so different, even if they keep the same kind of feel, right?
Totally.
Makes me so excited because how are they going to do it, right? Like, there are so many different ways that they could do it. It's really just like, what do they want to choose? Like, because again, they've kept the world mysterious enough. They've only, given us like a few big pieces of information about it.
Like, we know that there are humans that work with the demons.
Right.
And we know that the demons have this place and there's no threat to them from other humans, really. At least, we assume, because their outside security doesn't seem to be anything more than the pit itself. And given that the technology is 2045, they don't worry about anti-aircraft guns being like this is like they're in demon territory, like behind enemy lines or something. We don't know if there's a conflict out there of like a constant war going on.
They could have like the first half of the next season just be about them surviving out there. And then, oh no, there's patrols or like hunting parties that are going out in the woods trying to track down these kids. We need to avoid them, but we also need to stay fed. We need to deal with shelter, because I think they're what was it? I think it was February, so maybe they're okay. But I think it was February. But because if it wasn't for that, like what do you do when winter comes? You know, like how do you deal with that? Do you find humans somewhere and integrate into their society? Will the humans let you integrate? Or maybe there's crazy rewards since they're so valuable. It's like, oh, you're kids that escaped. Yeah, don't go to the wrong people.
Yeah,
because they'll cage you up and ship you back to the demons. Right.
And in some ways, the demons might actually be better off having other people hunt them rather than
Oh yeah, Child versus Wild with Emma Grills.
Oh my god. Remy's, I don't know if you missed the dialogue about Phil, which made me go, this boy's a god, 2000 IQ boy. That is when Emma shows the William Minerva books and they all see them and go out. Ray asks Emma, how did you come up on this? And how did you find out there are the stamps? And she says, I didn't find them. Phil showed me. Oh, that's right. I didn't notice that on rewatch. Whoa. Holy crap.
Whoa.
Boy. Phil. Oh my god, now I understand all the Church of Phil memes that my friends have been sending me now that we've finished it. They're just like, we all worship Phil. Phil is a god.
His adorable, wholesome little smile.
All is one and Phil is all,
Yeah, and they discuss Phil's test scores. Yeah.
Yes. I remember that Ray was the one that was like, hey, what score was, Phil? And it's like, God. He was averaging around 203 or something.
He's so smart. Phil could become a doctor.
He might have been so smart that he intentionally was bad on the test scores because he realized that if he was too smart, then he would be a higher priority for whatever the thing is. Yeah.
Phil's eyes glowing, I am the Alpha and the Omega, Isabella.
Oh my god. Yes. No, I think we remembered that Phil was the one that passed it on when it happened. Like, we noticed it when it was told, but we weren't on to Phil as being someone that we should look out for until much later. Because the William Minerva books, I think, were episode 5, and
Something
I think
like
we were looking at Phil very suspiciously by about episode 7 or 8.
Yeah, imagine Phil's IQ, but at Emma's age. Because Phil's like, what, 4?
No.
Because they didn't take anyone under 5.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah.
So he's a kid.
4 years old. I'm 4 years old.
4 years old. I was 3, but now I'm 4 years old.
Like, that is
God.
ridiculous. That is ridiculous.
Yeah. So there's that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so terms of theories, I really feel like what it's going to be is they're going to have to not only survive, but they're going to have to basically have a vision or a goal that makes their survival on a daily basis mean something more.
Yeah, and
because
so that
freedom is going to get overrated pretty quickly once survival is your main goal.
Oh yeah,
because freedom doesn't really mean much in terms of survival. But freedom doesn't help you,
eat.
go to help you eat.
Yeah. one of the things that would be really interesting if they ended up doing this, and it would probably get shut down pretty quickly. But if they have some of the kids that are like, well, it was fun back in the it was better back at the house, you know, like we
like
were
the ones that didn't hear the story firsthand through Crone or what have you. They had to be told secondhand info.
And it's like, well, you know, but it could have, you know, like we might not have been shipped out for another few years. Why do we have to leave now? Or things like that. Like, now granted, these kids are all pretty smart, you know, like even if they're not super genius, you know, level.
Yeah, some of them are pretty smart, but
yeah, you know, so hopefully there won't be too much of that, but I could definitely see that happening. And then it's like that, like the psychological effects of the fact that like now you're out in the world, like think like what's that cult classic movie?
Which one?
When they're in prison, and they're trying to get out. Shawshank Redemption. Redemption. And you have the old guy, right, who's been in prison for, you know, 70 years or whatever, and he, you know, he would deliver the books to the different cells and all that stuff, and then suddenly he's out and he's terrified. He doesn't know what to do. He's this old guy. He can't really work, you know, like and he doesn't know how to subsist. The world's a completely different place now, you know, like and it's this terrifying thing, right? And you know, he ends up killing himself, right? Like that idea, not that I think or would want any of the kids to get suicidal, but the idea that like we're not ready for this.
Right. They're not.
Freedom is a lot scarier and harder than we originally thought it would be.
Yeah.
Because that casting off of the shackle, the cutting of the umbilical cord, it's all great and good, but then it's violent. But it's violent, and then you need to stand on your own 2 feet. You need to learn how to walk and run and do all that stuff again, right?
Yep.
So, yeah.
Yeah, this is going to be basically kids that skipped going from training wheels to bike and went straight to just driving a car. And they're driving a car off-road in swampy forest land, like trying to get it somewhere. It's just not going to... What are you guys doing with Philip's name? Oh my god, you guys are ridiculous. Philip Yagami,
Philip Britannia, Roxaline. They come back for the other kids, and Phil has already overturned the demon government and saved all the kids and moms and sisters and even defeated the God Hand just because he could. Oh, boy.
Oh, man. Phil's just like, come to me, my children, and I will give you rest.
You guys aren't seeing the big picture. Phil is William Minerva.
Nani! What a twist!
Oh, man.
Oh, my God. So, okay. We've got this next segment of the story. I particularly want, and I don't know if they're really setting this up as well, but I want it to turn... basically the actual kind of dark way that a survival horror thing would be. Yes. Is basically that the terror of something like Made in Abyss was that we knew the dangers. They were being shown to us constantly. And told. So we knew that things would be bad. But with this one, we just had a victory. Everything is awesome. We are going out. Nothing could stop us. Until literally one demon shows up.
Yeah.
Like, if it gets to a point where they're like, okay, y'all, they're on our trail. We have to do things that get them off our trail. We practice for this. Okay. Hey, where's so-and-so?
Yeah.
They just went out to go, they went out to take a piss at night,
and suddenly
they're gone.
Well, and suddenly they're out here like this. There could be the demons that are like, okay, we'll capture you and we'll get the reward of returning these prized goods back to, you know, the higher ups. Or there could be the one demon that was just like, I always wanted to try human, you know, like, and it's just like, and the thing is that they have the numbers.
Yeah,
they have the numbers, and not all of them are characters yet.
Yeah,
they can kill off.
They can kill off quite a few,
5, 10, a dozen, you know, and still be okay.
Yeah,
right. So
the way you got that like demonic glint in your eyes of they can kill characters, y'all.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh man,
and it'd be terrifying, but they could do it.
Oh, they
could do it.
Yeah, and I don't think that the show is going to hold back with regards to that. In some ways, the survival aspect of figuring out not only just what our goal is and where we're going, but like the interpersonal conflicts that come when survival is on everyone's number one mind, which means that humans come to their baser instincts and become animals. And we were literally just on cannibalism farm as the main threat before this. How quick do you think it's going to turn to where the kids are like, wait a minute, actually, in some ways, our biggest problem right now is that we're on like 10 days with no food.
Yeah.
And we know that the demons are following us. No, I think they'll probably find waters to avoid that problem.
And they definitely took supplies with them.
They did. But let's say it comes to a thing where they actually find a way to deal with demons and they're not going to get instantly all slaughtered or captured or what have you.
Right. Avoid.
Let's say they kill one and they're hungry. Like I'm talking like things where it's like
I don't think
the terms have tabled.
I don't think it's that kind of show because they have Emma with them. Emma will keep them in check. I don't think she would ever have them actually eat one of the demons.
But that's how scary this is because we have no idea.
Yeah, we don't.
I hope they get like a week's head start when it's basically just like they don't know which way they got out. They, you know, Isabella can just be like, I have no idea.
Well, and
she just lie and say, I don't know where they went.
Here's something that I want to see. Since they established the idea of humans helping demons, or humans that are working for the demons, also helping humans, but humans helping demons, right?
Yeah.
I want to see demons helping humans.
Yeah.
Like, I could definitely see something happening where you have like the the equivalent of like Nazi Germany, and you have the Germans that are hiding Jews right in their homes, something like that, right? Like they could go underground railroad kind of a thing if they wanted to. Like, like there's tons of things that they could do here.
I think we save that kind of stuff for way later. Way later. I want to see more, if anything, the finding humans isn't a good thing necessarily.
Yeah.
They'll go with that.
Yeah.
Then eventually they'll get to the whole thing of what happens to the humans that work with the demons. I think that's where they're going to explore Norman, is because Norman is totally not dead.
Is like so not dead.
So not dead.
Like it's not quite Hopper levels, but like it's pretty close. Like
like I could not be convinced, short of actually seeing his
head
body
on a spike in a bulletproof glass case.
He is alive. And he's going to be that insight into like what their inner workings are, because he's so stupid smart. And this is something that I feel like should have been more focused, but they made a point of when they showed us the scores of Norman, Ray, and Emma on the little demons checklist thing. Norman had 300, which meant, in my opinion, that his most recent test was 300, but his average, or just his last two tests, were 300. But it was more like Emma and Ray had just gotten 300, whereas before Ray had 292 and Emma had 265, which seems like they progressed up to the 300 level, but Norman had been at it for a while. So
I don't know.
He was probably the one that they were like, okay, this one, we got to figure out how he ticks. He probably has a special brain or something.
Well, and the other thing is, just from a writing standpoint, you have this great world that you've set up, but it's all mysterious, right?
We need perspective characters.
Right, we need perspective characters, because the third person name drops of like the Tefarian stuff, that's great, but we can't do that as a baseline. We can't do that all the time.
Yeah.
So when the kids escape, how do we still basically showcase the world that has been set up that involves all the humans working with demons and things like that?
Right.
Well, you get someone on the inside. There you go. You know,
someone's saying that things could go full Lost Children arc.
No.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be that dark. I'm just meaning that the idea of the kids being forced to grow up too fast ends up having a psychological toll on them because of their violent shift from cushy life, blissfully unaware that they're being, raised as cattle, to the we're out in the wild, hunted, starving, like at each other's throats for like trying to figure out a way to make this all work, because people don't get along that well sometimes in groups,
especially when they're hungry and their own survival is on the line. They'll need to form basically a little mini civilization, right, as they move, which will be
with
difficult.
A leader,
And from the leader standpoint,
governing body to disseminate information to the masses.
Yep. Like, it's rough. Yeah. Now, a lot of them are kids, so and a lot of them are younger kids, right? So they're more in the, yes, we know to do what we're told because there are ones that are smarter than us, right?
Totally.
Even though kids also like to break the rules whenever they can.
And they also scored the victory for them. Like Emma, Ray,
exactly, right.
Dawn, Gilda, they helped them get out.
They've got the loyalty and all that stuff. And maybe this kind of a thing of that kind of inner problems would be more likely if they were like 20 or you know, a decade, you know, because a bunch of the kids are, you know, 5, 6, 7, 8, you know.
Yeah, it's good.
They haven't gotten to that rebellious phase yet.
So they just switched dependency onto Emma.
Yep.
Ray.
Emma's the new mom, right?
Oh, that's another thing that they're going to tie things back to Isabella. Is that Emma's going to do things that Isabella did to calm the kids down, and she's going to hate herself for it. Yeah, because that's what she's been taught.
See, things like this, there's so much that they can do here. It's great.
Oh man, yeah. Isabella being haunted by all the kids who trusted her that she led to her death. This is fine. Yeah, basically.
Oh boy.
I need an adult. I am an adult. Yeah, exactly. We don't earn a puck until we endure an adult attack or Daddy Donnie. Oh my god.
Well, and we're not going to ever get that here.
I don't think we're going to get that here.
Phil is our puck, and he stayed behind.
Yeah.
So.
Because he was needed there.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
That's right.
Oh boy. Miguel 2K. Hello, SS Bros. Looking forward to the final episode reaction. Oh boy. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh boy.
For sure.
Yeah.
Wait. It showed it, but it didn't zoom in on it. It's right there. They don't hide it. This is a shonen. What are you talking about? Oh, this isn't a spoiler. Oh, wait. Whenever someone leads a statement with, this isn't a spoiler, but... I'm sorry, I'm not going to read that, whatever it is. I mean, I don't know if we have mods here, actually. That's a good point. Let me check something real quick. We have one mod here, so someone is watching, but I'm a little worried to read that. Sorry. I recommend reading Isabella's final monologue in the manga. It's truly heartbreaking. Oh
boy.
Maybe we will. Yeah.
And this is a shonen manga.
This is totally a shonen
it's
thing.
It's not a sign-in, not yet.
For sure. I think we're gonna end things here pretty soon. Jacob, do you have any season 2 like out there predictions?
We're going to get Norman as a perspective character.
Okay.
Even if it's just for a little bit.
I don't think we're gonna get Norman as a perspective character. Yeah.
Okay. Do you think we're gonna see Norman?
I don't know. I think if they drop Norman at the very end of season 2, that would be perfect. Because here's the thing: do you think season 2 will be 1 core or 2 cores?
I think it's gonna be 1 core. They could definitely do 2 cores, you know, but I think it's gonna be 1 core.
Okay, so if it's 1 core, then I don't think we're gonna get Norman, because I feel like it needs to be a big moment. And I feel like what's going to be a bigger moment is the idea of the village episode, where we get to a place with humans.
Sure.
And they are, like, happy to see them.
Well, right. Or maybe there's the one person who's like...
they feed them, and...
Sure. Or there's the one, like, nice person that's like, hey, cover up those tattoos. Like, even among humans, you know, you don't want them to, you know, to know about that or something like that.
They're going to come in with white clothes, all uniform.
Well, yeah, that stuff. Too. They need to basically strip naked and then go steal some clothes, you know.
But like, where are they going to get those clothes? This is the kind of thing where I feel like we're going to get one of those typical horror episodes where they go to the village.
Gilda just cuts her. Oh no, wait! She already cut her hair. Never mind.
Exactly.
I was gonna say cut her hair and then sew it into clothes. That would totally
I think
work.
It's going to be a thing where they'll get to a place with humans after a lot of surviving and figuring out how to handle just getting away from the demons and stuff, and then it's going to be this thing of, wait, guys, I'm getting the same vibes of creepiness that we got from when we were at the house. and they're gonna have to reconvince the kids that we have to leave again.
Yeah, and
the kids will be like,
tough because, but it's good here. We finally found a place where we don't have to sleep on the ground and things like that.
And then that'll be a thing where maybe it won't be that the party will have anyone die, but it'll be a thing of where some of them didn't listen. And say 5 of them all get rounded up. Well, and they like maybe a bunch of them leave like just in the nick of time. But the other kids are like, yeah, why are you leaving? Like, this is a great gig we have here. We found people. This is okay. But because they don't have the experience with human beings outside of the farm, they don't know what the real world is like. So the idea of, you know, that whole thing. That's just, I want this world to be not cruel to them, but just be unforgiving.
Yep. Because it will make their freedom seem earned, and the idea that they still have a long way to go.
Powerful.
Yep, exactly. Yeah. Because that's the whole point. Like, freedom is not safe.
No,
it's not supposed to be. But it's the idea that you get to choose.
Oh, yeah.
And that's worth it. That's worth all the pain and suffering and mistakes and agony and that comes along with freedom. Because there's your freedom, and then there's everyone else's freedom.
For sure.
Those clash a lot of the time.
Oh, you hope that we get a 2-core season 2? It's kind of like an MHA situation based on like the popularity. That could be a thing.
I could see that happening.
That could be a thing. I don't know where the source material is though. So if they're announcing it so early, I'm guessing they have plenty of source material. But they might want to do a 1-core thing because of the MHA thing of, hey, once we know a cadence of how much manga is going to be written in the time that it takes to produce this much anime, we can do that cycle of where we won't catch up too quickly. And I think very, very few anime think like that. They more just kind of put out a season and they're like, all right, we're never going to do a season again. Or
sure, we did the advertisement, basically.
Yeah, or they'll do like a season or 2 and then they'll be like, oops, we went too fast. All right, we're going to stop for a long while. YX Casual with the 100 bits. Loves your Promised Neverland reactions. Can't wait for next week with Vinland Saga, a classic in the making. Also has an amazing OP. Thank you. Yeah, appreciate the bits. Yeah, we're excited to get into Vinland Saga.
Oh,
it looks so
also,
good.
Lian Lee has a great cover of the Lullaby. Just mentioning because I know you bros like her covers. That is awesome. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, definitely pass that along in the Discord if you're in the Discord, or we'll just search it.
Yeah.
Dr. Woman Respecter with the 100 bits. Thank you so much. I'm so glad you guys got to experience this series. It's truly one of a kind. We were farm boys, and now we Viking boys.
That's right.
Hey, we Viking boys. Yep. So that means next week, y'all, on Early Access, Vinland Saga Episode 1 reaction, and then on regular YouTube Everyone Access, the final episode of The Promised Neverland. But yeah, we're gonna call things here. This shows a lot of great things. What do you guys think this show does the best? We kind of mentioned that earlier in the podcast.
Yeah, I would say just the general atmosphere of it. It was really, really engaging.
Yeah, for
sure. Like, it was something where even if there wasn't a specific problem that they were having at the moment, but I can't even really think of a time when that was the case, I was on the edge of my seat.
Yeah, for sure. Sorry, Ramiz. No, we're not going to watch all 3 episodes in one reaction. But thanks for the info on how the thing's being produced. Though it's cool that they did all 3 episodes of VS right up at the front.
Oh yeah,
that's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, y'all, if you want to be up to date on all of our Twitch streams and stuff like that, be sure to leave a follow. We stream Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday at 3 p.m. Pacific. So tomorrow we're going to be going into the next volume of One Piece.
Yep.
We're having a lot of fun here. We're doing lots of crazy voices. So if you want to hear us be hilariously ridiculous voice actors in training, basically, like come and have fun with us. Yep. It'll be good. And then on Thursday, Jacob's going to be streaming gaming.
Yes. And I'm done with Dota now. So
exciting.
Going to be starting Stanley's Parable.
That
will be interesting.
An indie game.
I am not entirely sure what to expect, but
that's sometimes the best experience, is just jumping in and being like, ooh, what this new game? And then you've got me streaming on Friday, 3 p.m. Pacific time, doing The Witcher 3 on the Blood and Wine DLC. and I am at the end, pretty much, of the Blood and Wine DLC's main story.
So what's after that?
Well, there's a lot of world stuff to do, Jacob.
Okay.
Witcher 3 is a huge game.
Okay.
Like, it's huge. Like, crazy.
Gotcha.
So, y'all, be sure to check out our YouTube channel if you just stumbled across us here, Semblance of Sanity on YouTube for anime-related stuff. And, yeah. Oh, Stanley's Parable is great. You're spoiling us. Oh,
all right.
Good stuff.
All right.
I'll be, like, asking for, like, hey, so, you know, is it really good? You know, should I check it out? You'll be like, ooh, yeah.
Eventually we'll do a switch, and I'll be like, okay, so now I need to play The Witcher 3.
You'll do The Witcher 3, and I'll do Stanley's.
Yeah.
Who knows? But, yep, if you want to see us in the next one, go leave a follow or stuff like that there. But yeah, until then, we're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we'll see you all next time.
Now for the regular bit. So here's the thing, Battle Lines. It's on Amazon. The link is in the description of all our most recent videos. Go check it out. If you want to get it, make sure to leave a review on Amazon to let everyone else know what you think.
Yes.
But the thing is about Battle Lines. So was it basically just because I wanted to make Mandalorian fan fiction that I could actually sell? Yes, it was that. And you'll see that in the armor.
It also has twists like The Promised Neverland.
Yes.
Like at the very